A new monetary system is being ushered in with CBDCs or Central Bank Digital Currencies. Are they the next step to a better banking, or will they end privacy, choice, and the control over our own money? Watch today's video and you decide. Hi, and welcome back to Stop Being Sold. My name is Michelle, and I'm here with Brian. And in today's video, we are discussing CBDCs. Now, this is a really important video for everyone to watch. I firmly believe this because we all need to be aware of what's happening with our money and possibly our freedom. So there's a lot to cover on this topic, Brian. So let's dive in, and I'll have you start with defining what is a CBDC.
Today, we're talking about CBDC, not CBD. So
Very
just
different.
remember that. CBDC stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. The US CBDC will be the digital or electronic form of the US dollar issued by the Federal Reserve. This form of digital fiat money will be similar to cryptocurrency, but the fundamental difference will be that a CBDC will be backed and regulated by the Federal Reserve and act as a legal tender. As far as the question of will a US CBDC replace cash or paper currency, according to the Federal Reserve website, and I quote, the Federal Reserve is committed to ensuring the continued safety and availability of cash and is considered a CBDC as a means to expand safe payment options, not to reduce or replace them. And for those of you saying, yeah, but the Fed isn't a central bank, the Fed would disagree. According to the St. Louis Fed, they are the central bank, and the term is given to whoever is the country's monetary authority.
All right, so here's a $1 million question. When you quoted from the Fed that they're committed to ensuring continued safety and availability of cash, and that the CBDC will be a means to expand payment options, not reduce or replace them, do you believe them?
Not too sure myself if I believe it. Sometimes I believe we're told what we want to hear and only that.
Yep.
And I do think that it may take decades of work to try and replace the dollar. Michelle, you know more about where the Fed is on this. Could you fill us in on that section?
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. So I also, just to preface this, I only know what I have been reading and following along with. So who knows what really is going on behind the scenes. But
Sure.
Here's a quick timeline. So the Federal Reserve put out a white paper back in January of 2022, where they basically said they don't commit to launching or not launching a CBDC. Then in March 2020, President Biden issued Executive Order 14067, which was the Ensuring Responsible Deployment of Digital Assets Executive Order. Fast forward to September 2022, and the White House then released a framework outlining the regulation of digital assets to explore the digital dollar. Now, here's the kicker. Wednesday afternoon before Thanksgiving last year, while no one was paying attention, because guess what we were doing? All getting ready for Thanksgiving. An official from the New York Federal Reserve announced that over the past several months, the New York Federal Reserve had been working on a wholesale CBDC to speed up the transfers between banks around the world. So, do I know where they are? I don't know, but I think they're a lot farther along than they're letting on, because up until that point, up until November, they had denied working on it, and then boom, all of a sudden they're beta testing it, and they've been beta testing it for a while. So who really knows? So Brian, let's switch gears here. And let's talk about, I think it's really important for people to understand the pros and cons, right? So let's talk about the case for CBDCs.
Yeah, and Michelle, that cracks me up actually, because that kind of reminds me of the wholesale investment banking industry, trying to push away cryptocurrency at the same time behind the scenes working on their own.
Yeah. I always say this. Watch what they do, not what they say.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's go back to CBDCs. Here's the case for them. They do have the potential to increase transparency and reduce the risk of fraud, as transactions will be recorded on a secure, decentralized ledger. Okay, I agree with this. I like that part of it. They could also reduce the cost of transfers, making it easier and cheaper for people to send money across borders. Another benefit. And CBDCs could simplify cross-border payments, reducing the time and cost associated with traditional international transfers.
Sure.
Other countries are looking into it as a way to improve financial inclusion by making it easier for people who are unbanked and underbanked, to access financial services.
Sure.
The key here is these benefits are not guaranteed, and it would depend on the specific design and implementation of the CBDC in question. We just don't know until they roll it out. So,
All right. Well, there are a lot of concerns about privacy and security with CBDCs.
yes, there are, and more people are sounding the alarm.
Yeah, they are. They are. I read a great article. I think it was in Forbes talking. It was an opinion piece, and it was like anyone who knows anything about CBDCs does not like it.
Right.
The people who do like it, who know about it, are the people who are trying to implement them. So,
Of course.
anyway, I guess my biggest concern really about this is that a government or an institution might misuse, or probably will, let's face it, misuse digital currency, and they'll use it to control us, the people, right? So, first of all, because CBDCs would be issued by central banks, they would have direct, meaning the central banks would have direct control over the monetary supply, which would then give them greater control over the economy and greater freedom to screw it up more than they already have. I mean, just look what's going on. They don't exactly have a good track record, at least in my opinion, right? And I don't think that they need any more power and control. I mean, just look what's going on economically in our own country and globally, right? And ask yourself, do you want these people controlling your money? I don't.
I don't.
Right? So let's take it a step further. If central banks, or in the case of the US, the Fed can see all of your transactions, well, there's an enormous risk in allowing governments to have this level of detailed information about our activities. And what if the powers that be decide to limit how much you can spend on meat or candy, or decide that you've driven too much and you've left too much of a carbon footprint for the month, and they shut off your car and you can't go to work or see your mom, right?
Right.
What if they decide that you can't spend your money the way you want? And it's actually not that far-fetched. If not to get too political here, but I think we have to. We've seen the weaponization of money happen before, and it's not pretty. And let's just recently, right? We don't have to go all the way back. You can just in the last 2 years, remember the Freedom Convoy through Canada? Well, authorities froze like over 250 bank accounts to protesters to prevent them from making necessary purchases. They froze accounts. The government literally took control. And then there's also all these court cases that happened years ago with conservatives who had their bank accounts closed or were denied to use PayPal, et cetera, because they posed a reputational risk, I think was the word,
Right.
for banking institutions, right? So if a bank can close those accounts they don't agree with, what's the government going to do? And then we have our good friends in China who are already leading the way on their social credits with their social credit systems that determine, your access to certain services based on your political views, your online activity, your spending habits, your work history, et cetera. And the minute that, this is my opinion, the minute you pair a social credit system with a CBDC, governments are going to punish those, who they disagree with and stop them from spending money. And I'm not saying that the US government is like China, but it's a government, and governments don't have a good track record when it comes to, wanting to control their people. It's a freaking Orwellian nightmare, really. It's my opinion.
Yeah, and, I've watched all these events and realized that control is the goal.
It's always,
So,
100.
it's kind of funny because you mentioned the monitoring how much you drove as far as putting a carbon footprint out there. I'm thinking, wonder what the position would be on pushing everybody towards electric vehicles, and all of a sudden there's a switch that they can just shut them all off.
Sure.
So, you never know where this is going.
No.
The current digital currency space has gotten away from them, to say the least. And it's funny because you can listen to them, how they talk and try to discuss it like they think they know what's going on with it, but they're so far removed from the actual subject matter. Sure. And, their short-term goal, I think, here is to try to fill the gap and rein in some control.
Sure.
And we're starting to see some stuff like that coming out from the SEC and stuff right now on crypto. But I'm in the camp that we always need to keep a stash of reserves for immediate needs.
Sure.
Kind of reminds me of the preppers who stash food supplies and goods just in case.
Well, Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? It's better
No,
to
I
look
love it.
stupid if nothing happens, than get caught off guard if something does happen, right?
I'm so glad that we prepared during the pandemic and stocked up. My
Sure.
mom's like, Brian, I don't know if I'll ever use all these paper supplies that you made me get.
You
She
should.
goes, they're going to last me the rest of my lifetime. I said, but what's nice is you're not paying higher inflation prices right now, are you?
There you go. Right? Absolutely. All right, so there's a lot more to the CBDC thing than we've discussed today, but
Sure.
we really just wanted to provide you a quick overview and raise awareness, because this is the thing. You don't want to get caught off guard if this happens, and I'm not
Right.
sure if there's anything we can do to stop the train from leaving the station at this point. But just really, the more you know, right? You can prepare and you can do what you need to do. All right, so here's the thing. If you like the content of this video, hit the like button, show us some love, leave us comments below. Let us know what you think about this CBDC stuff.
Yeah,
uh,
and to follow up on that, Michelle, this is one of the biggest reasons we did this video is because someone left a comment on one of our Federal Reserve videos, if I'm not mistaken,
yeah,
talking about CBDCs and what our thoughts were on it. Well,
sure.
that's us today. We're so if you leave comments, we're going to respond to them. So
Yes, we do. All right. So hit that like button, subscribe. Do not forget to subscribe. And also, here's the deal. We're going to leave you a video link below, and it is about the IRS and its new 1099K rule, which means any transactions over $600,
$600.
right? You got to pay taxes or you got to report it, right? So you're talking about PayPal, Etsy, Venmo, what else?
Cash apps,
Cash
anything like that. Yeah.
Etsy, eBay, you're going to have to pay taxes. So unless you want an absolute paperwork nightmare next year, and also a nasty little tax bill, watch that video and prepare now, because it's coming.
It's coming.
All right, Brian, thank you so much for this today. It's been a great conversation, and thanks to everybody who watched.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.